Good afternoon. Welcome to UCLA. Please welcome the College Marshal for today's ceremony, Professor Andrea Ghez.
It is my honor to welcome you to UCLA's Commencement Weekend. This ceremony, the first of two centennial commencements marking the beginning of UCLA's 100th year, is devoted to honoring the students from the UCLA College of Letters and Science. My name is Andrea Ghez, and I'm a professor in the Department of Physics and Astronomy and the College Marshal for this ceremony. While the students and the official party are assembling, let me take a moment to tell you about UCLA. I'm proud to say that your graduate has attended one of America's finest universities. UCLA is a national and international leader. Woo! UCLA is a national and international leader in the breadth and quality of its academic, research, healthcare, cultural, athletic, and continuing education programs. 7 UCLA alumni and 6 faculty have been awarded the Nobel Prize. In addition, UCLA has been the breeding ground of 17 MacArthur Foundation Fellows, 11 Rhodes Scholars, 3 Pulitzer Prize winners, 2 National Medal of Science recipients, 2 U.S. Poet Laureates, and 1 Turing Award winner. And every year the accomplishments of our students grow. If you are new to the UCLA campus, you are in Pauley Pavilion, the home of Bruin teams in the men's and women's basketball and volleyball and women's gymnastics. UCLA has one of America's most successful intercollegiate sports programs. Bruin teams have won 118 national championships. Here in Pauley, you can see the banners representing 47 championships won by men and women in 6 different sports. In addition to our intercollegiate athletic programs, Pauley has hosted the 1984 Olympics, visits by President Bill Clinton and the Dalai Lama, and the 1988 presidential debate between George H.W. Bush and Michael Dukakis. Other events that take place in Pauley include the new student welcome, Bruin Bash, Spring Sing, the Undergraduate Research Conference, and numerous intramural and club sport team practices and competitions. After commencement concludes, I invite you to look around UCLA outside Pauley. If you will find one of the world's most beautiful universities. In just a moment, the graduating class of the College of Letters and Science in 2019 will join us. After the students arrive, the official party will enter, including our esteemed faculty, the campus executive leadership, UC Regents, and our guest speakers. I wanted to offer my congratulations. I know how proud you are of your graduate. The entire UCLA community shares your pride. Okay. All right, are we ready? Family and friends of our graduates, I present to you the graduating class of 2019 from UCLA's College of Letters and Science.
recording?
Brandon too.
Undergraduates, will you please take your seats? Ladies and gentlemen, the official party. Hello, UCLA graduates. Welcome to your commencement ceremony. Singing the National Anthem is Julie Meng, who is graduating today with a major in molecular, cell, and developmental biology. Please welcome Julie.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night
Thank you, Julie. Now, I am pleased to introduce the Senior Dean of the College and Dean and Vice Provost of Undergraduate Education, Patricia A. Turner.
Good afternoon, UCLA graduates. On behalf of the deans and faculty who join me on stage, I welcome you and your family to the commencement ceremony for the College of Letters and Science. I would also like to thank distinguished Professor Andrea Ghez, our College Marshal, for greeting our guests this afternoon. Graduates, this is a day to acknowledge your achievements and to celebrate the culmination of your undergraduate studies. You have met the highest challenges of education. You have been partners with faculty in our quest to learn and discover. You will be the next generation of leaders in the field you pursue. Now, when most of you entered UCLA, it was highly ranked, but it was not the #1 ranked public university in the country. But as you graduate, it is. Put that together. What improved our ranking? I think it was your presence. I think that they, like we, recognize that in the 100-year history of UCLA, you are the most accomplished, most talented, and most cerebral, and the best-looking students to ever grace this esteemed campus. Graduates, joining us here today are many special people who stood by you through your years at UCLA, your family and friends. I would like to ask the parents, the partners, the friends, and the family members of our graduates to stand. And graduates, let's give them a hand. Now, I am pleased and honored to welcome the Chancellor of UCLA. In his 12 years as Chief Executive of the campus, he has worked to strengthen the university's academic excellence, build our campus diversity, and inspire a new level of civic engagement within the UCLA family. Please give a warm welcome to the Chancellor of UCLA, Jean Block.
Thank you. So, you know, the 2 p.m. group is always highly activated. It's always fun. Slows down a little later for the second, but not too much. So really, to our friends, family, guest members here, welcome to UCLA. We know it's sometimes not even easy to get to Westwood, and this is such a special day. We appreciate you being here. But to the class of 2019, I say, congratulations. Congratulations. So we all know this is really a special graduation. They're all special. They're all my favorite. They're all my favorite. But this is the 100th anniversary, so it's got to be a special moment. You recognize it's a special moment. And as mentioned, you're graduating the 100th year of the top public university in America right now, so congratulations. Now, 100 years may seem like a long time to any individual, but in the life of a university, we are remarkably young. I think I asked Siri, and I think Harvard was 383 years old, and the little school up north, Berkeley, is 151 years old. Now, sibling campus. But we're young, and we've accomplished an extraordinary amount in a relatively short time. And the journey began, you all recognize that, in 1919, when California's governor signed a bill establishing a university. In the years that follow, we moved from downtown to Vermont Avenue. In 1929, we moved to this wonderful location where we've been now since then. When we started this campus, there were 4 buildings. 4 buildings. If you look at pictures of UCLA, it's 4 buildings. It's now, we've added 213 buildings to campus. And I challenge you to find a space where we can add more. I think it is, we are very dense. So life, admittedly, in the old days was quite different than it is now. At the very beginning of the school, freshmen, first-year students had to wear a beanie, and step out of the way for older students. Think about that. Students lined up outside of Royce to complete paper registration. Remember paper with a pencil? Remember those? And Westwood had an ice skating rink oddly called Tropical Ice Gardens. A little bit of history. But there, of course, there was no Diddy Reese, there was no Trader Joe's, none of the modern conveniences. And when UCLA was started, it wasn't even called UCLA. Hard to believe. It was called Southern Branch of the University of California. Think about that, Southern Branch. Boo, right? So who changed that? You know who changed that? Students, you changed it. So in 1922, our student newspaper, 1922, shout out to the student newspaper, was called Cub Californian. We wouldn't even become the Bruins for a few more years, but they insisted that the Southern Branch had to change because it was a sign of inferiority to the northern sister campus, the little one up north, and that had to change. So they proclaimed in the student newspaper that they begin calling this campus the University of California at Los Angeles. Student activism. 5 years later, the UC Regents officially adopted the name, which is now famous. Now, how that name got shortened to UCLA, remember the official name is University of California at Los Angeles. Most of us know it at UCLA. That's a fantastic story that I don't have time to tell you, but someday, in my office hours, which are easily available, you all have a rain check on office hours, I will tell you this story. It's a great story. But there's a lesson in all this, I think, and the message is students made a difference. Don't let someone else define you. Don't let someone else's lack of imagination limit who you are, how you see yourself, or what you aspire to be. It's up to you. Take control, shape your own identity, and that's really an important lesson, not a lesson just from UCLA. That's a lesson about living. You have to define what you think is right, who you are, and you've done that, obviously, when you're here. So much of the UCLA's history lesson is that, between 1919, 1929, we were growing, but now we've just changed dramatically. And I say we're more responsive, we're much more creative, we better embody the aspirations of all its members, and we are a lot more diverse. We represent a much more diverse and interesting family than we did when we started. All that's so critical for this place. So, it goes without saying, though, we can always improve, we can always do better, we always fall short of living up to our ideals, and it's up to you to keep us vigilant at that task. We have to get better, we have to be more inclusive, we have to make even a larger difference in the next 100 years ahead. So all that has changed on this campus hasn't changed by accident. It's changed because of students, faculty, staff, alumni, and others like you who said UCLA could do better. And in every generation, we've benefited from you pushing us. We owe a great debt for those who refuse to give up, whose vision, courage, and hard work shaped this university that we are so proud of today. A number of important things we offer at UCLA are a direct result of student effort. So I want to recognize all the things that have changed here because of your effort. The creation of ethnic studies centers, the very best in the world. Programs that support students who are veterans, undocumented, transfers, parents, former foster youth, initiatives to expand academic opportunities for everyone, and more, all have their roots in student activism. And I know you, as the class of 2019, have done your role to make us better. My hope is you take that same spirit, that courage with you, as you form new communities and make the world a better place. There are huge challenges we face in Los Angeles, in the United States, throughout the world. We really are relying on you, working with others, to make a difference, and UCLA students have done that over and over again, and we look forward to your participation in this great adventure called post-graduation, commencement. So, Royce Hall, everyone knows Royce Hall. In some ways, this has become really to symbolize UCLA. This is really, our logo when you look at most ways it's characterized. It was named for Josiah Royce, an American philosopher at the turn of the 20th century. Royce was known for championing the idea of a beloved community, which he described as a community capable of achieving the highest good as well as the common good. We must all work together, he said, to create the community. Another great thinker, Martin Luther King Jr., took up that idea and made it central to his work. Dr. King stressed that the ultimate goal of the civil rights movement must be the creation of the beloved community. For Dr. King, that meant institutions committed to justice, it meant disagreements solved peacefully, and it meant people devoted not to selfish gain, but to each other's well-being. When Dr. King spoke at UCLA in 1965, just steps away from Royce Hall, he described the creation of a society where all people live together as siblings and where everyone will respect the dignity and worth of all human beings. Those are bold ideas. These are ideas that are part of UCLA's history, and it is time that we're inspired by these ideas. We have been moved by them since the original words were spoken in 1965. We've got to embrace them as part of our future, as well as, obviously, we recognize them as part of our past. So when you pass Royce Hall, look back at photos of your time at UCLA and see the iconic buildings in the background. Let the idea and all that Dr. King and his colleagues achieved inspire you, and let UCLA, what it has achieved here over the last 100 years with your help, inspire you as well. I really hope you're inspired by this institution as we are inspired by you. Beloved communities just don't happen. They're made. You all know that. It's the result of decisions we make every day, and we know that you will make good decisions. And this community will always be here to support you. When you graduate, you join 500,000 plus alumni all over the world. You're automatically a member of the Alumni Association. They will be helpful to you. I have to put an advertisement in for the Alumni Association. Wherever you live, wherever I go, wherever I travel, I find the Alumni Association reaching out to Bruins. So the Bruin community is inspired, it's close, it's powerful, and it can make a difference in your lives. So I really hope that you take advantage of the Alumni Association and stay connected to UCLA. So UCLA's first chief executive, Ernest Carroll Moore, said of this brand new university, this is at the very beginning of the university, "We shall look with amazement upon its development, for it is certain to be greater, far greater than the imagination of any of us can foresee." You just can't imagine at the time this university was being founded that it would turn into this great university. So I'm sure he would be proud, and you will be proud, I'm sure, as this university continues to develop, as you support it in the future. So again, I want to congratulate, you're a fantastic class, and go Bruins. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Block. My fellow deans and I are honored to acknowledge the students who graduate today with very special academic achievements. I would like to recognize the students who are graduating with one of the highest academic awards the College of Letters and Sciences can give to an undergraduate, the designation College Honors. The extraordinary students who are graduating with college honors have completed outstanding work in their major and also a special set of rigorous courses. Of the thousands of students who are graduating from UCLA this year, only 448 are receiving college honors. Will the students who are graduating with college honors please stand? Thank you. Please be seated.
Graduates, I am Victoria Sork, Dean of Life Sciences. I am pleased to recognize our many students who are involved in projects in the community. They accomplish this work through campus programs that bring together civic involvement with academic courses. Would all of the graduating seniors who served in the community please stand?
Graduates, I am Darnell Hunt, Dean of Social Sciences. I am privileged to acknowledge the recipients of the 2019 Chancellor Service Award. The Chancellor Service Award is presented to students whose college careers have been distinguished by dedication to UCLA and the community. These students, 218 of them this year, have earned this distinction through a sustained record of outstanding leadership and service. Will the students who have been honored as recipients of the Chancellor Service Award please stand so that we can recognize your superb commitment? Thank you. Please be seated.
Hello, graduates. I'm David Scalberg, Dean of Humanities. I'd like to present our students who are receiving Latin honors, which is recognition for the highest academic achievement. There are 3 levels of Latin honors. First, I'd like to acknowledge our students who've received cum laude honors. Please stand and be recognized. Thank you. Please be seated. Next, I'd like to honor students who are graduating magna cum laude. Please stand and be recognized for your accomplishments. Thank you. Please be seated. Finally, let's honor the students who are graduating with the highest Latin honors, summa cum laude. Please stand and be recognized. Thank you. Please be seated.
Hello, graduates. I am Miguel Garcia Garibay, Dean of Physical Sciences. I would like to recognize students who have participated in research while at UCLA. As you know, UCLA is one of the world's great research universities. More than half of our students enhance their academic careers by working alongside faculty on projects, or writing an honors thesis, or participating in research classes. These students perform original work and advance the frontiers of knowledge. Would all the graduate seniors who participated in research please stand so we can recognize your achievements? Please be seated.
Thank you, Dean Garcia-Garibay. Graduates, you have excelled in everything you've put your mind to, from research to community service, from academic success to personal enrichment. You have spent your years at UCLA becoming well-rounded and ready to begin a new chapter. Your student speaker this afternoon embodies many of your own successes. Caitlin Kim always wanted to attend UCLA. This was not surprising given that both of her parents, immigrants from South Korea, say that their greatest achievement in life was earning their degrees from UCLA. Therefore, today is a very special day for Caitlin's entire family. In her time as a Bruin, Caitlin has been active with the Undergraduate Students Association Council, the Bruin Newsroom, and the Alpha Iota chapter of the Kappa Delta sorority. Her time as fashion editor for UCLA's chapter of her campus, the #1 collegiate magazine for women, has undoubtedly been excellent preparation for her first job after graduation. Caitlin will be working as a fashion buyer for a Fortune 500 company. Please give a warm welcome to Caitlin.
Gotta find my speech. Give me a second. Good afternoon. It is my privilege to welcome Chancellor Block, our family, friends, esteemed faculty, and staff, in joining us in celebrating the graduating class of UCLA 2019. It's also an honor to be a part of UCLA's centennial celebration, Lighting the Way. Yeah, woo! UCLA has built a rich history in the past 100 years, becoming an integral part of not only Los Angeles, but of the entire world. Now, as the #1 public university in the nation, our school has truly pushed itself to its absolute limits, breaking molds and leading to groundbreaking discoveries and opportunities for all. UCLA has also lighted the way for all of its students, as we Bruins share a sense of invigorated optimism, knowing that if we can graduate from this university, we can basically take on the world. Now, personally, as the daughter of 2 very proud Bruins, hi Mom, hi Dad, hi Matthew, I have seen firsthand how this university lights the way for its alumni to conquer the unconquerable. I am the daughter of 2 immigrants. Wanting something more than what their home country could provide, their families made the decision to seek new opportunity. It is through that decision that I, like many of my first and second generation peers in this room, am able to stand here today. And to further exemplify what hard work could do, my parents studied extremely hard here, or in America, which led them to being accepted into UCLA and receiving their bachelor's degrees from this very university. But just because my parents and I went to the same school does not mean we had the same experience. My dad worked as an on-campus vending machine cart driver in order to pay for his tuition, and my mom was a commuter student responsible for taking care of her 2 younger siblings while their parents ran a small store. But because of the sacrifices they made, my parents paved the path for me to focus on my studies at UCLA, never pressuring me to find a job. They worked hard so that I could afford to live on campus, never having to commute. My parents lighted the way for my success, just as UCLA lighted the way for theirs. We may not fully realize it, but our undergraduate journey has molded us to be not only strong leaders and thinkers, but enlightened individuals. There is a special light within each and every one of us. It's a light of resilience, a light of perseverance, and a light of confidence, gained only by experiencing the unique opportunities that this university offers. Now, when I think about what UCLA was like when my parents were here, I can name a few stark differences. Most importantly, B-plate did not exist. Duo Mobile was definitely not a thing. And finding your roommates on Facebook was not an option. But I can think of a couple similarities as well. My parents probably hated the awful colors of red and gold. Probably avoided getting flyered on Bruin Walk, and most definitely knew how to do the 8 clap. But above all, I know that the light that has been instilled within my parents is the same. This light was instilled within them. This light has just been instilled within you and me, and this light will be instilled within generations of Bruins to come. As times change and we enter the real world, we will be presented with opportunities and challenges that only those with an adaptive mind will be able to conquer. But I am 100% confident we are blessed with the light to pave our way. We are emboldened, we are motivated, and we are inspired to take on any and all trials our future may hold because of what we learned throughout our time here. And just as my parents have lighted the way for me, and how UCLA has lighted the way for them, let us hope to bring light to the entire world, one Bruin at a time. Congratulations, class of 2019.
Thank you. What inspirational talk. So now I have the tremendous honor to introduce our guest speaker. So Dr. Anna Lee Fisher is a distinguished 3-time UCLA graduate, triple Bruin, a member of NASA's first astronaut class to include women, and the first mother in space. So incredible, unbelievable. So born in New York City and raised in San Pedro, California, group there, Dr. Fisher was among 5 women selected by NASA in 1978 to be the agency's first female astronauts. She flew in space when her daughter was just 14 months old. It's really truly incredible. In 1984, Dr. Fisher logged a total of 192 hours in space as a mission specialist on the Space Shuttle mission, the second flight of the Orbiter Discovery, and the first space salvage mission. After a long and successful career with NASA, Dr. Fisher retired in 2017. You may recently have seen her profiled in the Washington Post, an extraordinary accomplishment. So please join me in welcoming a distinguished triple Bruin, astronaut, and first mother in space, Dr. Anna Lee Fisher.
Wow. This is the largest group I have ever spoken to. It is an honor and a privilege to be here. I would have never volunteered when I was at UCLA to be the student speaker. That takes a lot more bravery than I have. Anyway, it is an honor and my sincere privilege to be asked to be your commencement speaker today, especially as it is the first of UCLA's 2 centennial graduations, and because the university, as was already mentioned, is also my alma mater. Thank you, Chancellor Block, Dr. Gez, distinguished faculty, honored guests, and especially all of you, today's graduates, here with your family and friends. Today is your day. And what a special day it is. After all the hard work and effort leading up to this day, you are finally here. Tomorrow you can think about the next step in your journey, but for today, take the time to celebrate your achievement and to celebrate and to thank your parents and friends for their love and support. Before I begin, I just want to share with you the advice I was given by my two daughters about speaking here today. Kristen, the daughter who was 14 months old when I flew on space, is now a correspondent for Fox News. She said, "Make it short, Mom. Everybody wants to graduate and go celebrate." My younger daughter, Kara, who just texted me and said, "You're going to kill it, Mom," who has her MBA and is in private wealth management in Dallas, said, "Use anecdotes to illustrate your points. Otherwise, it is just boring. Don't be boring." So I will do my best today to not be too long or too boring. So for you parents and families, as you can see, even though I have 3 degrees, have been a doctor and an astronaut, and have flown in space, I am still, thank you. Thank you. I am still just Mom to them and have a very typical parental relationship. Today marks the first of 2 centennial commencements. What has UCLA accomplished in that 100-year period? Too much to properly quantify. The College of Letters and Science has graduated more than 300,000 undergraduates, and the total number of matriculated graduate students, including master's and PhD graduates, is nearly 600,000. And now you will all join those ranks and add to the incredible list of accomplishments that will propel the university forward for the next 100 years. As you can all attest, UCLA is an amazing and rigorous university. I am so glad I was accepted and completed my entire education here. When I was at UCLA from 1967 to 1977, it was around the time of the institution's 50th anniversary. Am I dating myself? I'm sure all of you here can do the math. I remember being in Reber Hall and climbing those steps every day as though it were yesterday. And we had to actually run for classes, physically run for classes. I'm sure you don't even know what I'm talking about. I always thought UCLA was a gorgeous campus, but today it is even more beautiful. The north side of campus looks very similar to when I was here, but the south campus has changed drastically, with many new buildings, a new hospital, and the old medical school and my old shortcut from the chemistry library, which no longer exists, to Westwood is vastly different. The pathways that were once asphalt now have beautiful pavers. The dorms, which were very basic and Spartan back then, are now, by my standards, very luxurious. You may not agree, but you should have been there back then. The thing I remember most about my time as an undergraduate in the chemistry department is how, as a female, at a time when I was almost always the only one, or one of 2 or 3 females in math, chemistry, and physics classes, I was not only accepted, but mentored and encouraged by my mostly male professors at that time. That was in the late 60s and early 70s. UCLA has always been a special place. I am so grateful for the encouragement I received while I attended UCLA. The education I received in the company of so many brilliant students and professors, and the self-confidence I gained as I progressed through all the stages of my education, medical school, and internship, gave me the knowledge that I could succeed. And I have to tell you, nothing than the other actual launch of the shuttle and the risk involved was harder than my internship. When I graduated from UCLA, as you will today, I felt I was on top of the world. I was already practicing emergency medicine in the Los Angeles area for a year when I was selected by NASA. So I took a 75% pay cut. My annual salary when I was hired by NASA was only $30,000 a year. But you know what? I didn't think twice about it. I was excited to be following my dream, forging my own path. While it wasn't always easy, that path to becoming an astronaut taught me many lessons along the way that I thought might also help you as you start out on this new adventure of life after graduation, or the real world, as was said. But before going into that, I want to put in a quick shout out to all the chemistry majors out there. There you go. When I met then Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher, one of my heroines, at 10 Downing Street for tea with my entire crew after our spaceflight, Mrs. Thatcher said to me, "You know, Anna, we have something in common. I was a chemistry major too." And then I learned that the current Pope was also a chemistry major. I bet you didn't know that either, did you? So just to be clear, with a chemistry degree, you could go on to do research and teach, but you might also become prime minister or president, an astronaut, or even the Pope. Just something to consider. Studying the composition, structure, and properties of matter can lead to some big reactions. Right. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so back to the life lessons. When I was young, I was extremely shy and nerdy. I loved science and math and reading, and had I actually known that public speaking was part of being an astronaut, I would have had to think long and hard about whether to apply. And I am only partially joking when I say speaking in public has been more frightening to me than launching on the shuttle. When I was young, my father was in the military, and we moved a great deal. When I was 12 years old and we were stationed in Fort Campbell, Kentucky, Alan Shepard became the first American to launch in space. I listened in awe over my teacher's transistor radio, Google it, to Shepard's communication with mission control, and decided right then and there that I wanted to be an astronaut someday too. Now that didn't seem like a very realistic goal because the job of astronaut had only recently been created, and all of the astronauts were men and test pilots. At that time, women were not even allowed to join the military and fly fighter jets and go to test pilot school. But the seed was planted and continued to be something I thought about. When my family moved to San Pedro, where my father retired from the Army, go Pirates. I was in the 8th grade, which was my 13th school. We were not very well off financially. I had 3 brothers, so my family did not have the resources or know how to send me to college. But I knew that getting a college education was the key to the future I wanted. Neither of my parents went to college. My father got his GED after joining the Army at age 17, and my mom was from Germany and had the equivalent of an 8th grade education. So like many of you, I was the first in my family to graduate from college. Yay! But my parents were very supportive and never tried to discourage me. They also did not know much about how to advise me, but with their help filling out applications, I received financial aid and scholarships and eventually student loans, as I'm sure many of you have had to do as well. Sorry, I'm not paying them off. I wish I could. I went on to major in chemistry and received 2 NSF undergraduate summer research fellowships. I found I really enjoyed doing research, but was not fond of all the time writing proposals to get funding in order to do research. I decided to combine my love of science and working with people and applied to medical school. I also thought in the back of my mind that even if I was born too soon to be an astronaut, maybe I could be a doctor on a space station someday. So you see, I had not totally given up on my childhood dream. I made my decision to apply to medical school at the end of my last summer fellowship before becoming a senior, so I got my application in very late. I was not accepted the first time, but was placed on a waiting list. Although I was disappointed, instead I went to graduate school and eventually received my master's degree in chemistry. At the time, it appeared to be a setback. This actually turned out to be a good thing, because wouldn't you know it, that second chemistry degree turned out to be instrumental in my selection as an astronaut. As I stand here looking at all of you, I remember sitting exactly where you are sitting now, feeling much as you probably feel now, excited, scared, happy, uncertain, never imagining, as I studied so hard for chemistry and physics exams, that it would lead to where I am today and the amazing experiences I've been so fortunate to have. I went on to medical school after applying a second time and being accepted. I was just finishing the last rotation of my internship when I found out totally by chance during a lunch conversation with a friend and fellow space nerd in my medical school class that NASA was looking for both pilot and mission specialist astronauts for the new space shuttle program. And the deadline to apply was in a month. Although it was a challenge in those days without the internet, imagine that, I imagined to get everything required into NASA just one day before the deadline. About 6 weeks later, I was interviewing in Houston, and a few months later, in January of 1978, I found myself among the 35 newly selected astronauts selected specifically for the Space Shuttle program. Thank you. Thank you. It was the largest, most diverse class NASA had ever selected, 15 pilots and 20 mission specialists or scientist astronauts, and the first 6 women ever selected for the U.S. space program. It was an incredible feeling. Thank you. I was assigned to my flight just 2 weeks before I delivered my first daughter, Kristen. So I was a new mom and training for my first space flight all at the same time. It was a challenging year, I will not lie, but I was doing the 2 things I loved most. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about my flight or the rest of my career because you can go online and read about all that if you're interested. But I flew in November of 1984 on a historic flight that was the first to bring back hardware from space, 2 huge multi-million-dollar communication satellites that were in perfect shape but totally useless in the wrong orbit. It was an amazing flight with wonderful crewmates, and I also, incidentally, as was mentioned, became the first mom to fly in space. I didn't consider that a big deal, as most of my male colleagues had children as well. But of course, my daughter says I owe it all to her. I was assigned to my second flight about a month after we landed, and when the Challenger accident happened, I was about 6 weeks from my second flight. We knew it would be at least 2 to 3 years before we flew again, and I was already 37. I worked to help get the shuttle program back on track, but then we decided we wanted to have one more child. After my second child, Kara, was born, I wound up taking a 7-year leave of absence, which was a very hard decision. And then returning to the astronaut office in 1996 was the second hardest thing I ever did in my life. The first was leaving Kristen to launch in space. But with my experience in the early days of the shuttle program, I was able to serve as chief of the space station branch in the astronaut office and lead the office as NASA, together with our international partners, started to collaborate and to build and operate the International Space Station. I was in line to fly when the Columbia accident happened, so I guess I either have really good or really bad timing. I was disappointed not to fly again, but I also realized how lucky I was. To date, only around 570 out of the 20 billion who have lived on this planet since human existence began have ever flown in space. And to be a part of that small number is truly a humbling experience. Thank you. I share all of this so that you know that I understand both the highs and lows of life. Sometimes when you read or hear about a person who appears to be successful, it sounds as though it was smooth sailing the entire time. I've had many missteps and disappointments along the way, and inevitably you will as well. Learn from those experiences and use that newfound knowledge to continue to pursue your dreams. With that in mind, allow me to share a checklist reminder for life that you might find helpful as you enter this next exciting phase. In the astronaut world, we have checklists for everything we do on board the shuttle or any spacecraft. A checklist is a collection of procedures. Sometimes the procedures are very detailed, listing every single thing you need to do to activate a system or deploy a satellite or whatever your task is. Other times the procedure is more of a cue card, a memory jogger, or a reminder to remind you of the steps to take or things to consider. When you are in the middle of something difficult, that is not the time to be figuring out what to do. Plan ahead and have contingency plans just in case. Then in the moment of crisis or a difficult task, you just have to execute the procedure. So in no particular order, here are a few of the lessons I have learned. Be who you want to be and live the life you want to live. Jim Carrey once famously said in a commencement speech, "You can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well take a chance at what you love." I agree. I am happy I had the courage to become an astronaut rather than staying in a career where success was pretty much assured. At the time I accepted NASA's offer, the shuttle had not even flown yet, so it was a big risk to leave a career I loved and worked hard for. I also am extremely grateful that I had the courage to follow my heart and take a leave of absence to stay home with my girls while they were young. I have never regretted taking that time. You have to decide what is best for you, not what you think you are expected to do, or what others think you should do, or what your parents or other significant people in your life think you should do. It is your life, and you have to follow your inner voice. Number 2, find that which you are passionate about, and your life will be rich and rewarding. Neither of my daughters wanted their father or I to read their college application essays. I tried not to get my feelings hurt, but also understood they were afraid we might try to change what they had to say. Years later, when I read my older daughter's essay, she was right. I would have tried to convince her that her topic of going to the bathroom in the middle of the night while camping out on a glacier on an old summer expedition was not appropriate. But obviously it worked. Again, much later, I found a copy of my younger daughter's essay, and it brought tears to my eyes. She said she was not yet sure what she wanted to study, but she wanted to find something that she was as passionate about as her mother was about her career and space. She then described the ritual that I went through with them every shuttle launch, except mine and their father's. I made them watch every shuttle launch, day or night, and as the main engines ignited and I watched my friends launch into space, I started cheering loudly, gave a thumbs up, and yelled, "Godspeed." My daughters would look at each other and smile in embarrassment, glad that none of their friends were around, but obviously they got the message. Number 3, life is not fair. It's just not. I am reminded of that all the time as I travel around the world. There are so many places in the world where people do not have even remotely what we have here. Despite all the problems we face in the United States, we are still so blessed to have all that we have: freedom, a booming economy, an opportunity to get an education, no matter what socioeconomic environment you come from. And on an individual level, some people are just born smarter, more beautiful, wealthier. That is just the way the world is. You have to deal with the hand you were dealt. You can either choose to go for the life you want, despite the hardships you face, or you can use the hand you were dealt as an excuse, but it is your choice. Number 4, unfortunately, in life, thank you, unlike Gene Kranz's famous line regarding Apollo 13, failure is an option. And all of you, as I have, will encounter failure or disappointment sometime throughout your life. It is how you respond that matters. And as many have said before me, unfortunately, you often learn more from your failures than your successes. Use that knowledge to create success. Number 5, always have a backup plan. At NASA, we always have backup plans and backup plans for our backup plans. A corollary to having a backup plan is to always be prepared, whether for a test, a new job, becoming a parent, whatever big things in life you need to succeed at. As the legendary UCLA basketball coach John Wooden said, failing to prepare is preparing to fail. UCLA and NASA taught me always to be prepared. Number 6, don't give up. Be persistent if you really want something. Some astronauts applied to NASA 6 or 7 times before they were accepted. And sometimes you have to change your goals somewhat. For example, to become a flight controller rather than an astronaut because you had a disqualifying physical problem. But you are still following your love of space exploration. Number 7, enjoy the journey. Do not be so focused on the destination or that future goal that you miss all the simple pleasures of life. The only sure thing in life is death and taxes, or so they say. And to that, I would add one more, and that is change. Life is full of changes. Just when you get comfortable with where you are, things change. Be adaptable and flexible because you will need to be. Sometimes you are prepared and get a chance to say goodbye, like when you leave to move to a new home, or like now, leaving UCLA for your next endeavor. But sometimes it's only in looking back that you realize that you did not know you were saying goodbye. For example, when both my daughters got their driver's license, I did not know that was the last time I would ever see them. Right. While you are young, number 9, while you are young, do not be afraid to take risks. When you are older and have a family or other obligations, it's a lot harder to take a risk that could impact others negatively. Number 10, should you find yourself on the wrong path or just one that doesn't fit, do not be afraid to change directions. You only get one life, so be sure it is the life you want. Number 11, thank your parents and all those who help you throughout your life. We and you do not succeed alone. Number 12, this is especially pertinent to me now. Don't be afraid of growing old. I never expected to have so much fun or be doing so many different things as I turn 70 later this year. Thank you. I am working harder and traveling more in retirement than I ever expected. I'm even learning to golf. Really hard. Every stage of life is fun and exciting, which was something I had not expected, but I have embraced. I was watching the Today Show yesterday as I was preparing to come here to speak with you. They were discussing Samuel Jackson and his amazing career and how his films had made more money than any other actor over his career lifetime. And then they said, and he's 70 years old and still doing amazing work. Please know that there's a lot of life left at 70, 80, and even 90, as Dr. Michael Debakey, former cardiovascular surgeon and Chancellor Emeritus of Baylor College of Medicine, showed us. He was still operating and teaching medical students at age 90. Number 13, and my next to last item for your checklist, because I just could not end with 13, is that we are all astronauts on the spaceship Earth. With the advent of space tourism with Virgin Galactic and SpaceX and Blue Origin, I am hopeful that as many more people get to see Earth from the same vantage point that astronauts have been privileged to see it, more people will realize how we are all more alike than we are different, and that we are all citizens of this beautiful spaceship Earth. Let's all take care of our ship and each other, just as Space Shuttle and Space Station crews do. And 14, thank you. And last but not least, be kind to one another. Respect other people's views, even if they are very different than your own. Especially in a university, all views should be listened to and debated, not censored. In the end, despite political differences, cultural differences, socioeconomic differences, we are all human beings with the same feelings, fears, desires, and challenges. So be kind and respectful to one another. Thank you. Know that this checklist is not exhaustive. There are times when there's no procedure for the situation you are facing, and you have to figure things out for yourself. Using your skills and experience and what you have learned during your time here at UCLA, you will find a way. I will end by saying the following. My life has not been perfect as it may appear to some from the outside. I have shared some disappointments with you, others I have not, because you need to graduate today, and it would take a long time to go through them all. But here's the point. When I look back, I would make the same decisions again, even the bad ones, because they resulted in where I am today. Even the painful experiences, though not fun to go through, made me a tougher, more resilient person who is better prepared for whatever lay ahead. So with that, I want to wish you good luck as you start on this amazing journey ahead of you. UCLA emboldened me to follow my dreams and gave me the confidence I needed to succeed. I hope that today you feel that same sense of boldness and optimism. As a graduate of UCLA, you can indeed accomplish what you set out to do. You too can aim for the stars. The sky is the limit. Congratulations, and like my friends, I wish you Godspeed. Go Bruins! Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Fisher. You know, if you give me your daughter's cell phone number after we leave the stage, I will text them and say, once again, your mother nailed it. Now, it is my honor to present the candidates for the conferral of their degrees. Graduates, this is it. I will call on the leadership of the college to present the bachelor candidates to Chancellor Block. The regents have delegated the authority for the bestowal of degrees to the chancellor. And just as he does everything else related to UCLA, Chancellor Block takes this authority very seriously. It is incumbent upon the leadership to present and promote the candidates. Presenting the candidates for the Bachelor of Arts degrees in the UCLA International Institute is Cindy Fan, Vice Provost for International Studies and Global Engagement.
Thank you, Pat. Bruins, you're graduating. Make some noise. Good job, good job. Will the candidates for the Bachelor of Arts degrees from the International Institute please rise and remain standing? One of the most valued qualities of higher education is the critical role it plays in bridging the gaps that separate nations and cultures. The multidisciplinary research and education programs of the International Institute aim to cross borders and build a global understanding. These programs are designed to improve student understanding of the world and produce global citizens and the next generation of world leaders. Some of our students focus on a particular region of the world, as is the case for our majors in African and Middle Eastern Studies. That's okay, you can tell us that you are majoring in that major. Asian Studies, European Studies, Latin American Studies. There you go. Other students explore global issues through thematic programs, as is the case for our majors in Global Studies and International Development Studies. 100 years after UCLA was founded, our students are studying at a time of unprecedented opportunities to study abroad, to meet international students on campus, and to interact with cultures worldwide in LA, abroad, and through the internet. Graduates of the International Institute, you leave UCLA with an educational background that will help you recognize and promote civic engagement across the local and the global, and across the national and the international. You are empowered to shape and improve the world as the next generation of leaders in business, education, government, and the nonprofit sector. In fact, in any endeavors that you're passionate about and in any part of the world. Chancellor Block, I'm pleased to present to you the globally aware, civic-minded, leadership-driven, interculturally skilled candidates of the Bachelor of Arts degrees from the International Institute. Congratulations.
Thank you, Cindy. Candidates for the bachelor's degree from the International Institute, please be seated. Presenting the candidates for the bachelor degrees in the Division of Physical Sciences is Dean Miguel Garcia Garibay. Miguel, please engage Chancellor Block on behalf of your students.
Thank you, Pat. I can't believe you guys are the centennial class of UCLA. Will the candidates for the degree of Bachelors of Science and Bachelors of Arts in the Division of Physical Sciences please raise and remain standing? All of you. The greatest challenges of our time, deep questions about the nature of our universe, about our origins, and above all, about our future in the world in which we live, are grounded in the physical sciences. For instance, climate change lies in the domain of our students in atmospheric and oceanic sciences, earth, planetary, and space sciences. If you hear your department, you can shout. And the Institute of the Environment and Sustainability. The discovery of compounds that cure diseases and that lead to the sustainable generation of energy will be the work of our graduates in chemistry and biochemistry. The investigation into the structure and deep history of our universe, as well as the possibility of other life in the cosmos, will be pioneered by our physics and astronomy graduates. Our graduates in mathematics and statistics will pioneer the mastery of the flow of data, and we must now process in order to understand and manage an even more complex world. All of this and more will be addressed by you, our graduates in atmospheric and oceanic sciences, earth, planetary, and space sciences, statistics, environmental science, physics and astronomy, mathematics, and chemistry and biochemistry. Physical sciences graduates, you all have here, you will live here with a deep fund of knowledge in the science underlying what we know about our world. You also carry with your finely honed skills in reasoning and analysis that will equip you to overcome the most daunting intellectual challenges that will be thrown your way. You are the cream of the crop. You have mastered the hard sciences. Chancellor Block, it is my honor to present to you the dedicated, inquisitive, analytical, gifted, good-looking, and altogether stellar candidates for the degree of Bachelors of Science and Bachelors of Arts from the Division of Physical Sciences.
Thank you, Miguel. Candidates for the bachelor's degree from the physical sciences, please be seated. Presenting the candidates for the bachelor's degree in the Division of Humanities is Dean David Skaberg. Dean Skaberg, can you speak to their worthiness?
Yes, thank you, Pat. Will the candidates for the Bachelor of Arts degree in the Division of Humanities please rise and remain standing? When I look out at the graduates in the humanities, I reflect that the greatest public university, research university in the land, educates experts and seekers of knowledge of many kinds, and that among these, since UCLA's founding 100 years ago, there have always been experts in humankind. Humankind, the young people who felt called to study the human legacy itself, the thought and languages and literatures and arts that define our personal and our social lives. Humanities graduates, what have you learned and what will you take with you when you go from UCLA out into the world to teach others? Well, you are seekers and exacting caretakers of the truth. You're philosophers. Come on, philosophers. You are scholars of language itself as a human faculty and as a medium of communication. You're linguists. Linguists, yes. You're keen observers of the image and its uses. You're art historians. Yeah. You are independent-minded readers of the literatures of the world and of the cultures of the world. Literatures in English. Asian languages and cultures. Near Eastern languages and cultures, comparative literature, classics, Spanish and Portuguese, yeah, French and Francophone, Italian, yes, Slavic, East European, and Eurasian languages and cultures, Germanic and Scandinavian, all the languages and cultures of the world. And many of you have done minors in digital humanities, in the study of religion, and in LGBTQ studies. Let's give all of you a hand. Now, I hope that you've completed the coursework for your degrees with joy and with a real love of humanity. But I know you're also aware of the very practical, very considerable powers you've acquired. You're highly skilled writers and speakers. You're readers and translators and interpreters of complex human situations. You're living encyclopedias of culture and spokespeople for the values held dear by other human beings. And you're critics, creators, free thinkers, fighters for justice, and continually self-improving learners. Everything you touch turns human. These are the powers that any workplace will need, and they're absolutely the powers that our world is going to need. Chancellor Block, I present to you the eloquent, the cultured, thoughtful, resourceful, passionately humane candidates for the degree of the Bachelor of Arts from the Division of Humanities.
Thank you, Dean Skaberg. Candidates for the bachelor's degree from the humanities, please be seated. Presenting the candidates for the bachelor's degree in the Division of Life Sciences is Dean Victoria Sork. Dean Sork, are you proud of your students?
See, this is what I like about the graduates in life sciences. We don't wait, we're proactive. So I'm not sure I even need to say, will the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science and Bachelor of Arts in the Division of Life Sciences please remain standing? You, our graduating students, have come into life sciences an exciting time. Life sciences includes many subdisciplines within biology and several within psychology. When UCLA was founded 100 years ago, the disciplines of biology and psychology were very different than what you learned in your classes over the last 4 years. Technological advances have catapulted science in ways we couldn't have imagined in 1919. Today, biologists are integrating principles of genetics, physiology, immunology, evolutionary biology, to develop cures and preventions for diseases like cancer, diabetes, HIV, and influenza. In 2019, many of those diseases weren't even known or diagnosed. Today, ecologists and evolutionary biologists are working to mitigate the impacts of habitat destruction and climate change. In 1919, biologists were even starting to become aware of industrial pollution. Today, psychologists are integrating knowledge of the mind, the body, and their biological interconnectedness to treat brain health problems such as depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, and traumatic stress injuries. Did you know in 1919, World War II, soldiers, veterans that came back with stress syndromes were considered malingers? We've come a long way. So, to address these societal problems, life sciences has tools and opportunities and great minds to address these. And we have more than a dozen majors in the life sciences, including computational and systems biology, a growing major, I might say, ecology, behavior, and evolution, marine biology, human biology and society, cognitive science, microbiology, immunology, and molecular genetics, molecular cell and developmental biology, physiology, neuroscience, biology, and psychology. As UCLA embarks on the next 100 years of educating our future leaders, how did I miss psychobio? One of the most growing majors on campus. Of course they wouldn't let it be forgotten. Well, we know that as we embark on the next 100 years, psychobiology will definitely be in the picture. Society will need all of you, all of those majors, to become the doctors, teachers, research scientists, therapists, entrepreneurs, and other leaders in the life science fields to make life better for human society. Chancellor Block, I'm very honored to present to you the psychologically well-adjusted, biologically sound, neurologically well-connected, ecologically sensitive, evolutionarily complex, immunologically resistant, molecularly based, physiologically well integrated, developmentally sophisticated, computationally advanced, and absolutely awesome. In fact, the most awesome ever of any. candidates for the Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science in the Division of Life Sciences.
Thank you, Dean Sork. Candidates for the bachelor's degree for the life sciences, please be seated. Presenting the candidates for the bachelor's degrees in the Division of Social Sciences is Dean Darnell Hunt. Dean Hunt, are these suitably accomplished students?
Thank you, Pat. Well, well, well. It looks like they've saved the best for last. Candidates for the degrees of Bachelor of Science and Bachelors of Arts in the Division of Social Sciences, please remain standing. Today, more than ever, we need you, our graduates in the social sciences, to understand the economic, political, and social conditions that will support private businesses and public institutions that create jobs, support the arts, support scientific research, and improve K-12 education. Today, more than ever, we need you to study the roots of social and cultural conflicts in order to avoid wars. Today, more than ever, we need you to isolate the causes of inequality in order to eradicate poverty and foster a more just society. Today, more than ever, we need you to communicate across cultures and communities, to forge enduring partnerships with people different from yourselves, whether from different neighborhoods, different cities, different states, or different nations. In short, your education at UCLA in departments that are among the best in the world has prepared you to be active agents in the construction of a better society. UCLA graduated its first four-year class in 1925, when the campus was still located across town on Vermont Avenue. In that same year, the College of Letters and Sciences was established, along with two social science majors, economics and political science. We've come a long way. Today, as UCLA celebrates the centennial year, the campus boasts 15 outstanding degree programs in the social sciences. These programs include Aerospace Studies, Military Science and Naval Science, American Indian Studies, African American Studies, Asian American Studies, Gender Studies, Chicana and Chicano Studies, Geography, Communication, History, Anthropology, Sociology, and of course, Political Science and Economics. Chancellor Block, I am honored to present to you the most socially engaged, research-savvy, service-oriented, culturally creative, interactionally skillful, intersubjectively attuned, around-the-clock inspired and inspiring, multilingual, multicultural, and multi-everything you could ever think of, and then more. The candidates for the degrees of Bachelor of Science and Bachelor of Arts from the great, unique, awesome, breathtaking, tremendous, splendid, impressive, and superb UCLA Division of Social Sciences.
Thank you, Dean Hunt. Candidates for the bachelor degree from the Division of Social Sciences, please be seated. The candidates for the bachelor's degree now have been presented. I call on Chancellor Block to confer the degrees of Bachelor of Science and Bachelor of Arts on the class of 2019. Will all of the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science and Bachelor of Arts please stand and remain standing?
Complicated. Compelling cases have been made. Compelling cases. What an extraordinary range of majors, of interests. You really are a truly amazing group. So candidates, your presence here demonstrates your rich, commitment and your intelligence, your perseverance. You've done all the right things, so I should offer you your degrees. Now, this is the problem. I have to get these words exactly right. If I don't get these exactly right, you're back for one more year. But the problem is there's no room for you. We've accepted an equally large class for next year, so I must be careful. But now, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Regents of the University of California, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science. Congratulations.
All right, let's do this together. Graduates, let me congratulate all of us on becoming the newest alumni of UCLA as the class of 2019. Woo! And now we have one more tradition to observe. Before we received our degrees, we wore our tassels on the right side of our mortarboards. Now that our degrees have been conferred, it is time to move the tassel to the left and join the select company of UCLA graduates. Bachelors, turn your tassels!
To close commencement, please join in the singing of the Alma Mater, Hail to the Hills of Westwood, performed by Sophia Inaba, Chan Kim, Courtney Scott, and Naosuke Yamaguchi. The words are printed on the back of your program.
Hail to the hills of Westwood, to the mighty sea below. Hail to our Alma Mater, she will conquer every foe. For we're loyal to the Southland, her honor will uphold. We'll gladly give our hearts to thee, to the blue and to the gold.
Thank you, Sophia, Chan, Courtney, and Naosuke. And to all of you, thank you for joining us today. Best wishes to the class of 2019. Congratulations and go Bruins!